So, hi everyone, it's Anna again. We're on part 3 of putting these leaf motifs into the Godrevy design. Now this is the next row. It's actually row 38 in the pattern. That is the first continuous row after we've made these and attached them to the main part of the blanket. And it's a very similar process to what we did with the pale yellow, or your palest colour, whichever one you've chosen. And we're working into the slipped stitches. If you remember, we skipped every other stitch, so we've got spare stitches coming up the side here, and we're going to outline with this next colour. Now I put some markers in here because if we did an outline right the way around the leaf and down here, it would actually push the leaves far too far apart, and when you try to make it to the shape that we need for the finished blanket, it would be really bulgy. So my markers here are because I always lose count, and you only come down so many stitches, and then when we jump between the leaves we just put a slip stitch instead of a double crochet in here and then jump to the next stitch. So these are just marking where I need to jump across because it just saves a lot of counting at the time. So that's in the two in between bits, and then as you come to the end we go all the way around again before we come back to the stem. Now you might notice I haven't woven my ends in, and as I said at the end of the last video, this is because there is so little here that if you wove those ends in before doing this row, there's a really good chance that you're just going to drag out some really messy ends while you're working this row, because we're working in underneath it really. So leave it until the end. It definitely is worth just ignoring for this row. Excuse me. So I have come down the first part of my repeat, and I've just put those finished off these zigzags and the first couple of double crochets in that little chain at the bottom. So I'm just going to come up the side of the stem. So let me get everything in working order. There we go. Now I'm going to be twisting this around a bit, so I'll try very hard to keep it in view so you can see what I'm doing. But anyway, as we turn the corner, so we're going to do 2 double crochets together just to pinch that corner to give it a nice shape, and then just normal double crochets up the side of this just to outline the stem. And I've managed to pick up a bit of wool that I didn't want to, so that's 4 stitches left on this bit. Feeling it. Right, now before we actually jump across to the leaf, I'm just going to make a chain 1 because that'll give me a little anchor point on the next row. So make sure you've got your leaves in the right order. Obviously your cast off point here is on the first leaf, so we've got the knot there, and the first stitch we're going to work into is this first double crochet which we skipped last time. Now it's a bit difficult to see here. Where is it? Come here. You're hiding from me. Actually, I'm going in the wrong place. I do apologise. Can't see it for looking. It's this one here. It's not the one by the knot. You pass your first one, your first stitch, and then we're going to be working into this one here. So push through from the back and pick up that stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet in that. And now this time we make 2 chains between them because we need some little loops to work into on the next row. So, and then we go to the next stitch and we pick that one up and work up the side of the row like that. And then as we get up here, we've actually run out of spare stitches because we worked into the last stitch of the row and then we went into this loop here. So what I'm going to do here is to go in through the chain 1, but instead of having a stitch to work into, oh, I'm all fingers and thumbs. Right, we've come through the chain 1, we don't have a stitch to work into, so we're going to work at this side of that tip stitch into that chain 2, like that. Preferably without picking half the stitch up behind you. Now at the top we do a chain 3 again to make a working loop for the next row, and then you come back round and the next chain 1 is here on the other side of that little combination we put in the tip, and again we work back into that chain 2 on that side. So it's just come through there, can you see it? And then we go down part of this row. Now for the next 2 gaps we're going to use a double crochet as we did before, and another double crochet in this one. But we're now getting to the point where we're going to bridge across to the next one. So this next gap we are just going to slip stitch that because we don't need the bulk of a double crochet stitch. And then we jump to the next leaf and we go into our marked stitch and we slip stitch into that one as well, which makes a nice snug bridge. Make our chain 2 and then carry on working up here. You should have a total of 3 double crochets coming up here, but the last one is the one that you work into the chain 2 at the top. So this is our one that we work into the chain 2 because we don't have a spare stitch to use. And then a chain 3 round the loop and go in the other side of that tip section and into the chain 2 again, and then a chain 2 and double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, chain 2. Doing work getting snarled up with my yarn tonight, not happening. And then this is the slip stitch one, so we go in there and we slip stitch that, and then we jump across to the third leaf, which is this one, and slip stitch into that. I'm seriously all fingers and thumbs tonight, I do apologise. And back up to the tip. 1, where is it? There. 2, and that one goes into that tip like so, and then we make chain 3, and we come around this side into that third leaf tip one last time, and then we come straight down the side of the leaf all the way down this time because we're on the outside of it. Now I really do recommend you work at a table doing this because you've got so much twisty stuff going on that if you try and work on your lap you are going to probably say something rude halfway through, because it will tend to fall off. It's just at that stage where it's a little bit too heavy to be freestyling a blanket on your lap, trust me. So we've got 6 down the side, and then we make a chain 1, and then we're going to come back to that stem. I'll move the tail end out of the way, and so we're going to work into the top of the double crochet. Mine's got a little bit saggy because I'm not very good at making tight loops sometimes, and we're going to work down the side of that stem for 4 stitches, and then we get to the last stitch, and then we jump to this first chain 2 down here and work those ones together just to pinch it round, and then we start off with our sequence around the next section. So there we have it. We've now got the leaves attached, we've outlined them with the second colour, and you can now weave these in, and on the next row I will show you how we come round and we close this gap up, because there is a couple of things you need to think about without working into a dead end, so that deserves a clip of its own. So that'll be part 4. You've been watching part 3, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.